Watakaofuata ni Moses Nyachae, Chief Nyandusi Nyachae na Brian Nyandusi. Nitaomba wajonge mbele na mkinikubalia, let us reduce protocol to make it shorter. Reduce the protocol kindly.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, I'm not used to using this. I usually hold it, but please bear with me. Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, former Prime Minister Raila Omolo Odinga, all cabinet secretaries, leaders in the government, as well as the leaders who are not in the government but lead this wonderful nation. And most of all, the Kenyan citizens who are all here, including those who are watching on TV. We want to thank you sincerely for being here. This morning, I want to represent the grandchildren of Mzee Simeon Nyachae, also known to us as Sokoro, which is the Abagusi name for grandfather. Can the grandchildren please stand up, just so that you can be recognized and appreciated this morning? One of the most beautiful things today is that we all have heard about the fact that we come from a polygamous family, but we all traveled by bus here together as one family. I'm going to be very brief as I just share a tribute on behalf of the grandchildren of Mzee Simeon Nyachae. New York Times best-selling author and pastor of one of the largest churches in the world, Dr. Rick Warren said this: "The sum of your habits is your character." It is very easy to become a public success and yet end up a private failure. My grandfather was the same person, all of you who have known him and experienced him personally. He was the same man in public and in private. And there are values that he brought home and he kept consistent in his character and his leadership. The one thing that he not only just shared, but he showed, because leadership is modeled, not just said. He modeled unity to all of us as grandchildren. And even as we grew up in a polygamous family, we have unequivocally, if that's the word I should use, decided, not just now, but long time ago since we were children, that we will stick together. We will support one another. We will be there through thick and thin. And so today, as the grandchildren of a hero, not just to family, but to Kenyans, we make that commitment that we will carry that on to our children and our grandchildren. And the first thing we will do is lead ourselves, because that is the greatest form of leadership. And then number two, lead those who we've been called by God to lead in our areas of influence with all excellence and humility. God bless you.
All protocols observed. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to just give a very short tribute. It's impossible to follow my brother Ken with all his stories, so I'm going to try and keep it brief. As everybody has said, both in Nairobi and the various tributes that we've received, and I'm sure will be forthcoming as other speakers give their tributes. Dad was a hard-working man, and the hardest working man I've ever known. And he's somebody that we, as his children, just aspire to emulate in everything that we do. As much as we emulate his work ethic and his principles, we also try and emulate his sense family and family responsibility. And there's just a couple of examples that I can give, which in my mind, sort of in my experience, just sort of captures that. And it's not stuff that you necessarily appreciated when you were young, but you appreciate in older age. And when I look back at in the early 80s, when you know, my brother who follows me, Eric, was starting primary school in Nairobi, when Dad had just been moved from Central to be a PS in the office of the president, we had a routine in the morning. We'd wake up and have to be out of the house with Dad by 6:45 at the latest, because his routine was tutaingia gari na yeye atupeleke paka office of the president, and then we'd now switch. He'd go and start his day. He'd give us his driver Kenoka, who Mike mentioned earlier. Kenoka was stationed at the office of the president. Kenoka now would take us to St. Mary's, which was our primary school. Do that every day. In the evening, come home, and he was a fitness fanatic, so he would always want to do his exercises. And at some point, he took up squash and used to take us to play with one of his family friends. When we moved to Loresho in the mid-80s, alijenga ka squash court, and his routine in the evenings would be, as soon as he comes in, atakuuliza, Mozu, umemaliza homework? I say, yes. Sasa badilisha nguo, twende tucheze. He'd always want to have that experience of just spending time with family in whatever way we can. And it was actually great for both of us, because we were quite competitive. And it's a very weird feeling sometimes when ulikuwa nacheza na your dad, and he's the one who got me into the game, and eventually I was able to outperform him. And it was a very mixed feeling of pride and guilt that I remember going through. But those are memories that I cherish. Why am I saying all this? Because the hard-working element was, he would go out, work throughout the whole day, come back in the evening, spend time with his family in whatever little routine he'd get into. And as Angela said, dinner time, family all the time, all day long. Whether he's having a meeting with some business colleagues or some politicians or people in government, walikuwa wanakuja nyumbani. He was never out and about, or ameenda kule mkutano Serena or what have you. Everyone was at home, because dinner time was dinner time. Na kama wageni wanataka kukaa for dinner, that's fine, but he was at home for dinner with his family. And these are things which you might not necessarily appreciate the importance of, as you're growing up, but it's as you reflect on his life and how you want to conduct your life going forward. Those are the things that are my dearest memories. Not so dear are when things didn't go right, and as Mike mentioned, there were a few of us special ones who the blows were reserved for. And as Ken said, he was not the only one. I can confess I was the other one. And I too can attest to the swiftness of feet and nimbleness and just cunning in terms of positioning you into a place of where you just have to submit. So I've got stories galore which I could get into, but with the wish of not taking up too much time, I just want to conclude by saying that we're grateful for all the love and support that friends and family have shown to Dad over the years, and in these last few days as we take him on his final journey. It's not something that we take for granted, and we're very grateful, as I'm sure Dad is. I just want to say to Dad, who I'm sure is watching over all of us, we know what you were about, Dad, and it was about family unity, and as I said in my tribute in Nairobi, please rest in peace knowing that we'll not let you down. Thank you.
My tribute is based on my experiences from seeing my uncles, aunties, and also interacting with my cousins. We see visionaries as heroes. They have the ability to see into the future and predict with uncanny accuracy what lies there, regardless of the outcome they know. What they know: working hard, consistency, passion, like-minded individuals, a realistic mind, and an idealistic heart. would help you achieve anything you set your mind to. Socorro lived his life with an unapologetic persona that amplified the truth he spoke, the integrity he breathed, and the ferocity to take life at its own game by conquering it. He accepted people for who they are, but inspired the potential to become something more through a disciplinary cane, figuratively and literally. A heart of gold that no matter where you are, his unconditional love would reach you, and when you want to see him, it would sip throughout your entire being. The Dangara people of West Africa believe everyone is born with a purpose, and that purpose must be known in order to ensure an integrated life. People ignorant of their thinking are like ships adrift in the hostile area. A person's purpose is embodied in their name, thus constituting an inseparable reminder of why the person walks with us in this world. Honorable Simeon Nyachae lived up to his name and set a precedent that a legacy is not only attainable, but living an exemplary life filled with love, laughter, music, family, and spiritual nourishment is a gem to your crown. The greatest storyteller I knew in the written and vocal sense. Thank you.